So let's put some wheels together. Picked up some inexpensive rims and tires for the Ryft 2.2s. Picked up these off of Amazon. I think these come off of, yep, Amazon. And these are, you know, knockoff Vanquish, knockoff SSDs. You've got the 5-hole connection in the back. SSDs uses 6. I'm not sure what Vanquish uses. Similar, you know, setup in the ring, I guess. I think these are swappable. I've got a set of SSD sets I'll put on there just to check them. But I think the normal SLW threads work on these. So you can swap the center piece out, which will need to be done for a couple reasons, and I'll get into that a little bit. But they're not bad. They're under 50 bucks, I think, for these ones, for the set of 4. So it wasn't too bad. And I have to say, I am kind of impressed with the cut and the quality. The anodizing's done quite nicely. Okay. Now the rings, of course, attached to it. You got to put in 24 bolts to get the ring down, and those 2 are in there. And then you got the hub that comes out, and there's kind of 2 of them put together. You can see that is, you know, not bad, but it could be a little thicker. It would be nice to see it a little thicker. Actually, it should do pretty good. But what I was kind of impressed with is how thick the actual face of it is. How thick the wheels are. You know, the depth of that. That's pretty good size thickness in there. I mean, it's not real. You see there, it's not super thin. So I already took the foam. Now these come square. These are out of the Duratrax Deep Woods. These are a 5.8-inch tall tire, almost 6 inches. So they're very similar to the stock Ryft tires. That's what these are being put together for the Axle Ryft. These are only like 24 bucks a pair with the foams. Now the foams come all squared out. You know, they're just a square all the way through it. I trimmed them. Obviously, I trimmed them on the inside. And then trim the outside, so they're gonna snug into these tires a little bit. They're kind of wrinkled, didn't set real well in there when I first did them, so I went ahead and pre-trimmed them all, got them all kind of rounded out a little bit, so it'll fill a little bit better and fill a little bit without wrinkling up so much because it's too much foam. These in here. Sticky on the inside, so I move them around a little bit to get them in there nice and centered and everything kind of sitting where it should be. There we go. Seems to be pretty decent. Slide this puppy in here. Now these tires are directional, so when you're putting them all together, there's a front and a back. And when you buy them in the pair, they come, you know, one side each, and with the printing on the proper side to be the outside. It's not too hard to make sure you're putting them on right. And what I do is I put these rings in. These are 40 millimeters wide, so that they're a nice wide piece. 2.2 size, 40 millimeters wide. So they're, like I say, a good wide, you know, ring. Working. Okay. and slide you in. And let me see what else I can grab real quick that I might have. That might work out right. Actually, that'll probably work out flipping perfect. Don't bar anything up on either side. Let's see if we can get this one. Move that a little bit yet. Not quite in the right spot. Okay, so just put that in there and get them started. These are actually quite easy to throw together. I expected them to be quite a bit more of a pain in the arse. But actually they weren't too bad. So I'm going to start dropping these puppies in, get these rings in the rest of the way. Lock down before we start going too much. Excuse me. This is nice time consuming. Now, okay, so this one, screwing it in, you feel it going kind of hard, back it out a little bit, run it in, pull it out all the way, and you're going to check the threads. You're going to see there's some, smudge on there, how well it's going to focus if it does, but a little bit. It's got a little fudge on there from inside the threadings. Take your fingernail or a knife, cut that stuff, grind it on off the thing. Where'd you go? we go. Tiny ass little thing. Clean your threads. Blow that one out. And now she'll go in pretty smooth all the way. I still got some smuts on it because I didn't quite see it. Every once in a while, you're going to find a set of threads that has crap in them. Didn't quite clean out, got a little too much sealant in it, a little too thick of an anodizing layer. So you do have to be careful of occasional once in a while when you do that. So what I do is, like I say, clean those threads well. Try to get them as clean as you can. Another thing you can do, which is what I'll do here, is I'll move it to the next hole because it's got a little smuts in the thread, and then I'll take a new screw and run it through that one. No more hang-ups, nice and smooth. No problem with it getting stuck, locking in. You might find one or two. That one had a little bump on it, but it went in pretty good. Okay. And snug these in the rest of the way. Okay. It's just enough with your fingers tight. You don't want it too tight. You don't want to strip them. Sure, I got them all on this one there. Okay, I'm going to pop these out of this. Oh, those ones are a little tight. But the rest of it, I'll put this over and finish the wheel tightening itself. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, before we go anywhere, let's double check our. Come on. Sure, our beads are looking good. Had a heck of a time sometimes setting these beads, but these actual rims, they have actually not been bad. And the tires are pretty uniform. They seem to set pretty well. The biggest key obviously is keeping that foam out from underneath. And doing that trim really makes a difference. And then just like a car tire, do a little jump and snug, jump and snug. Bring it down, take the slack up and give it a little twist. You don't want to crank it down just one side at a time. You'll get things a little crooked. Go ahead and bring these down because they're a little crooked anywho compared to the other sides. Pretty even now. Right. Okay. This finished up almost there. Snug. So there. Okay. Now one final tighten. No, just have to move a little bit further. Snug too. There first. Okay, now. All right. Peel this off real quick. Got a couple extras with this one. All right, so I got one kind of on the buggy, and it's going to deal with this part, which I'm going to do something different. And I got a few extras. Oh, that's right. I got 6 of them go there. One extra one there. These in there. Went ahead and did these ones earlier. Yeah, like I say, that one's on the buggy. Let's go with this. So part of the problem, once you get them all together, the rims are good. I didn't vent, and I'm probably not going to because I'm going to be doing a lot of water. Although I may push a little air back out of here, a little much in these tires, I think, right now. So I may loosen them up and push some of that air back out. But I'm going to leave them unvented because I'm going to crawl on the woods and in the mud and the stuff, and that way they can stay a little bit easier to clean. A lot of you, oh no, you got to vent them. That's not true. Real tires aren't vented, they're just run with low air pressure. And you can achieve the same kind of effect by a zip tie around the center. Just kind of pull it in a little bit just to push some of that air out before you tighten everything down and seal it. So that's what I'm going to end up doing with these tires. But part of the problem is with the SWL, whatever they're called here. These units that come out of China got a nice decent hex, but they have a rather large hole in the center. And it's larger than all the axles. and it's actually sleeved on the back side. And see if we can get it to this jump camera to focus here a little bit. It's got a shelf in it. See that shelf in there? Almost like it's designed to put a small insert in for different size axles. Because on the Ryft here, I threw one on here, and you can see, I mean, it goes on. You gotta need a smaller thing, but see, it's still loose. It's not so much the nut getting tight; it moves up and down too, because that doesn't. Even though it's setting on the hex, the front is unshimmed in that spot, so it's gonna, wiggle back and forth. So there's a couple things that needs to happen. So I think, I say, when you look at this SWL hub on the back, it's almost like I say, got that little recess, is almost as if there's supposed to be a shouldered bushing that slides in there to go right to the axle sides, whether it's a 3mm axle or a 4mm axle. And I think that's what a lot of people are noticing on these rims, that they're getting these Chanquish or ChinSSD, as I call them, CHANSSD or Chanquish, because they're all doing the same thing. And I think if you look at your hexes, you're going to find it's got a piece on it. So those are SLWs, I believe they are. I originally grabbed these here. That's some. These are a set of SSD ProLine adapters for the Ryft. This is something SSD makes Ryft specific, because I guess some ProLine wheels are having a problem with that. So my hope is that I can use these adapters. They go right in there. Do the holes line up? They do. So, because I seen somebody else, and I thought about this last night after I got these done. I did the 3 of them. Wanted to do the 4th one on cam, and then took a look at, put that one on the Ryft and see what was going on. Took a look at the stock hub that comes with it. Went, oh, okay. So these are like $15 for the SSD units. These are made for the ProLine version of rims, so you can put this hub on and fit them on the Ryft, because the Ryft has a slightly larger axle. I think it's a 5mm axle over a 4mm axle, like most of your 110 stuff. So SSD use these so you can run those ProLine rims, and looks good in there too. So I'm pretty sure, like I said, that we could use, I was going to be able to use these, but I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd try right here on cam anyways, and we'd all learn together. Because I've seen a few people post actually earlier today on one of the Ryft groups on the fake book. I seen somebody post about having an issue. So I thought, well, let's see if we can solve that. Solve that issue and my issue, and actually get these pretty cool rims. I think they're going to do well. They're thick, they're heavy duty, they're not cheap, weak rims. They should have quite a bit of stoutness, so they'll be able to handle the extra weight and abuse that the Ryft will put out. Now, I'm not sure where my Loctite's at. I will Loctite these eventually, but I wanted to do one up first to make sure it's even going to work the way it's supposed to. And it looks like it's going to be Jim Dandy. So if you got some of these Chanquish, China Vanquish knockoffs or China SSD knockoffs on your beadlock rims, and you're finding, you're trying to use them on your Ryft, and you're finding you're not getting a good wheel fit, or having a problem at the wheel getting a good lock nut tight, well, here's your solution. Somebody else I was saying earlier on the bank, or on the Facebook Ryft page, said if you just buy the Vanquish offsets, SLW, these pieces, but in Vanquish they bolt right in. And when he said that, that confirmed to me that the SSDs would absolutely fit right in. So yeah, that actually with that black, other than the orange in the center, I like the look of it even better. So we are going to swap these out. And that will be the solution for anybody using these knockoff rims. Buy yourself some either Vanquish, or I got the SSDs because these were set specifically for the Ryft, of course, with Pro-Line rims, so using that offset, but these are pretty much the same offsets, I believe. Those over here. It's cool they put these in little zip bags. And it looks like finally tomorrow, most probably, I will see my ESC motor finally. Mail has taken its time getting it here, but it looks like it should be here tomorrow. On its way up from Detroit right now. Use this SSD hardware because I know it's going to be stronger than the stainless that China sends. Notice one, two little spots here and there on these rims, but nothing very noticeable. If there is one or two spots where they might have a little mark on it, a little nick, might see a spot where the anodizing didn't quite adhere. As one or two of these rims I've seen on the back side of the rim. Wrong size. Okay. It's not that size. Thought that was right. These might just be didn't be waxed. Because they are. Two. Okay, and I'm going to need my okay. That's right. Probably go grind this down a smidge. Yeah. Get that. So these, that one gingerly. Scratching it all up, please. I know. Because of the recesses in these hubs, it really makes it tough to get these nuts in here. And that's part of the problem with these hubs and these ChinSSD rims. I figured I'd try a set. And I am pretty outspoken about not spending the money on these knockoff stuff. I didn't see anything that really looked like these. Yes, they're similar. This particular face set is quite a bit different than some of the other ones that are out there that are directly looks just like the Vanquish or just like the SSD version. So there was that these aren't exact knockoffs of something they have. Why they are similar. Similarities are going to be expected. You know, some of that stuff is a exact copy, and I don't condone that, because the problem ends up when you buy all the cheap stuff from all the companies that are just knocking it off. All the companies that are actually investing the money into making it are no longer in business. And for as long as Integy has been around, yeah, I see they're actually sponsoring races now. Woohoo. They've almost never designed anything themselves. Almost everything the Integy out there has been stolen from somebody, put in the cut, copy, paste machine, and mass-produced parts sold for less. And people wonder why, you know, companies are out of business like HPI. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of the problem HPI has is one of the problems today about being, you know, in business is when they come out with the HPI Baja 5B. That was the first, you know, US big time, you know, fifth scale gasser. There's been FG and Harm and Lunenbacher and a few others out there, R5, who did fifth scale, but it was never really caught in the US. Most US market didn't much like the fifth scale that was available from Europe. Different flavors. The Baja 5B from H5 changed that. That hit the US by fire, man. I mean, everybody in the RC picked one of them up dang near because they were so cool. Reminded everybody of that old Tamiya sand buggy, not the Sand Scorcher, but similar. Reminded everybody of that from back in the day. But here it is, a fifth scale with a 23cc weed whacker motor on it, just screaming in a monster. You know, it wasn't 2007 that come out. By 2009, 2010, you had King Motors out there knocking them off, selling them for $400, $300, $400, $500, flooded the market. Nobody ended up buying the HPI stuff. Some of the HPI stuff fits, some of it didn't. But the biggest effect was after about 2011, they had lost so much in sales that they were starting to have financial burden and financial problem because everybody was buying the King Motors or the cheap Chinese knockoff version, and HPI was, you know, sucking hind tit. And today, here we are 12 years later, and they're barely still in the RC world, starting to put some stuff, re-releases back out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you allow yourself to save the pennies and buy the knockoff stuff most of the time, instead of actually supporting the companies that made the cool shit to begin with. And if you can't deal with that, I don't know what to tell you, but you're gonna have problems. Which is gonna lead me into the next conversation, which is probably get this thing banned on YouTube and lose me any potential subscribers that may have come into the mix. Hey, this guy's kind of not a total jackass. And that is politics. So many, too many. There we go. Far too many people let their taints get all burny when politics comes into the RC conversation. Oh, we can't have politics here. Oh, we can't have politics here. We can't have politics here. It's gonna hurt my feelings. We can't have politics here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you some advice and some information. If you haven't been paying attention, politics is already here. And what I mean by that is, if you've ever been flying drones, if you're in the RC drone area, you've been affected hard in some cases by the politics. You got the FCC trying to pass rules that say, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. Is that on there? Yeah, cool. You can't do this, you can't do that. You know, you need a license. You can't fly here. Now, granted, there's going to be people that take advantage of other people when they are doing RC stuff. Now, let me rephrase that. There's always going to be somebody that takes advantage, and somebody could use an RC in an improper, possible criminal way. That's always been the case. Anything can be like that. A fork, a knife, a hammer, you name it. There isn't a thing out there that could not at some point be used as a criminal object, RC included. Whether that's flying a drone over your, hot neighbor's wife's, pool while she's outdoor sunbathing, or something far more nefarious, as we have seen in some movies out there. Like, what was it? Godfather. Anybody's watched, I think it was The Godfather 2. Go watch The Godfather 2. It might be, I don't think it's original. I think it's The Godfather 2. Go watch The Godfather 2 and watch what they do with RCs in that movie. So yes, this can happen. But the problem here that I'm getting to now is government has, with the introduction of drones, has felt the need, because they can be used as a nefarious purposes, just like a gun or a fork or a knife or a bomb or anything, that they will be used for nefarious purposes. Therefore, they need to make special laws to protect the public's safety. But the problem with that is now we have politics in RC. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't want to talk about that because it might upset your sensibilities or make a subscriber feel uneasy, well, too goddamn bad. You better start talking about it, or you're going to end up having to get a FCC license just so you and your kid can go fly an RC airplane out in the backyard, even on your own 1,000-acre sprawl. Because, oh geez, your kid might be a little, who knows, maybe a patriot, USA loving, God fearing child, and he may want to use that drone for nefarious purposes, or that RC for nefarious purposes. So don't kid yourself, boys and girls. Politics is already in RC. And once politics get into something, it doesn't leave until you force it out. So I know a lot of people, we can't talk about that. What's led us to the situation we have going on all across the United States and the world today is not talking about it, because, it makes my pussy hurt. Well, boys, if you've got a pussy, you need to sit down, shut up, and let the men do the talking, because we need to talk about this shit, or else we're going to have bigger problems that we're going to leave for our children than any of us ever anticipated we'd see in our lifetimes, because it is here and it is on our doors, and politics is just the start. So that worked out pretty good. Put those SSD locks on there, or offsets. That down, and that turns out pretty decent. Those look actually pretty decent on there. I like that. They got a nice look to them, and the Deep Woods are nice tall tires, so I won't lose much height stance. 120s up front, like I mentioned before. Stockers with bumpers, orange bumpers on the inside of the springs. So hopefully tomorrow, this other ESC, the RX4 and Rock 412 2300 kV HD with the 5mm shaft gets here. Looks like it's going to be. At which point I'll be swapping out the electronics there, and I'll be turning around as well at that time and dumping back into this 2-speed. I have to modify the front case or front side of the shift fork, because I am bucking out of second here and there. She's cogging out. That's why I haven't really driven it much, because I wanted to get that done. I didn't want to do that because I just have to take it all out again. So I'm just going to do it at one time. So I've been waiting for that. And then I've got the Trio sway bar coming. I've got on here now. I put the Yeti on the other day. And as you can see, it's kind of short. Looking back over on this side, across underneath, how much angle is at these length here. Arms here are just not long enough. They need to be 5/8 to 3/4 inch longer than these. So I went ahead and just ordered the Trio, because it is made for the Ryft. Other than that, a couple different sets of tires. Like I say, now these actually have air pressure in them. They're not vented. See if I can bend it down here a little bit. So there's, you don't hear any airflow because I don't have them vented. I'm going to be running this woods and water, but they are full of too much air. I'm going to take some zip strips. I'll take them back off at some point. Zip strips, put them around, probably tomorrow when I get the motor. Do that, zip strip around that, pull a little bit of that air out, tighten them back up. They'll sit a little flatter. They'll keep them from expanding a little bit because they'll have a kind of almost a slight negative air pressure inside. I've been doing that for years. I know a lot of people say, that's crazy. It don't work. It works. You just got to get it right. It's like anything. Fine-tuning is key, and if you can't get it fine-tuned, it's not going to work the way you're hoping or expecting. So, and this is no different. So getting that air pressure just right is, key to getting that done. But there we go. Cheap Chinese rims on Duratrax Deep Woods, and the SSD hubs for the Ryft on any of these Chanquish, ChanSSD, whatever you want to, enunciate it as, these knockoff Chinese rims with these kind of, colored center hubs with a big old hole in the center. Like I say, these things, they've got an offset or a shoulder in there, and it looks like there's supposed to be some type of bushing that slides in there that will keep it tight at the axle where it comes through, so it's not kind of bumping up and down. You can see these. There's, they are nice, and everything's just like it is. That's not in the rim. That's the normal jump of the, slop of the bolts and stuff in the front end. So that's a huge difference right there. Probably go out, take it for a run because it should handle pretty decently right now. Just to see what it does and go from there. But anyways, want to throw those on, throw that out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Don't be afraid to talk about politics, because believe me, politics is talking about us in the RC world, and we are the next new targets for legislative control. And this has been coming on for 4 or 5 years now, since Tim Pool run his mouth and said, well, you don't think people can put a bomb on a drone? Yeah, they can. Now Congress is pushing hard to take control of it because, well, nobody's seen it in the movie, but Tim Pool mentioned it, so makes you wonder. Anyways, like, share, and subscribe. Let's talk. Let's RC. Let's keep it around for our children the way it is. Later.